Hello and welcome to the DM's Book Club, a weekly podcast where we talk about some dungeons and some dragons and how you can fit it into your role-playing campaigns. I've got less sort of interpretive dance and more like spell weaving.
Yeah,
I feel like. Do you know what I mean? Going on from
you went very audiobook narrator.
That's what I was going for.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
That's what I was going for. I was going for more the sort of like,
I liked
hello
it.
and welcome to this audible production of the DM's Book Club.
Oh, great. Well, this is because normally we used to record a lot really early morning for me, like lunchtime for you, so I needed the energy. And now we're like in the evening. I can imagine we've got like our smoking jackets on.
Yes, exactly.
And our whiskies, and we've got pipes. You know.
I wonder if the vibe has changed. Yeah, I wonder if people can notice the change in tone from the like early morning, midday for me to the sort of like evening, afternoon for you.
They'll definitely be able to tell it with me because I'm not like at the beginning of every episode as I'm trying to desperately wake up with caffeine.
Yeah, amazing.
How are you doing, Hamilton? What's new with you?
What's new with me? It's all fulfillment on Rateborn at the moment. So I am. Yeah, well, I'm DPD are causing me pains. Fiona.
It looks like an anime, like a little sign on your head there.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it was just like they've been able to deliver to my house for a very long time, and then suddenly they've got a new guy, and I found out this from find out later how I found out. A guy who's very new, and he cannot find my house. He just cannot find my house.
Oh no!
The first time I told you this, right? So you were there when I was traveling around because it went to my house. It didn't come here. It said it got dropped off in Bristol, and I don't live in Bristol. I live in Bath. So I was going around the streets in Bristol.
Yeah, it was like I was like listening to a side quest that you were going on, and then you went for 10 minutes. I was like, oh, and then you came back, and then
exactly. No one had it, and so this person delivered it to wherever, like the neighbour. So it was to a neighbour of the number that I live at, and but the same street name that's in Bristol, and I believe, and I went to both. There's two of those streets in Bristol, and I couldn't find it, and so that was that.
Oh,
and then
God.
So that was gone. But then I got the printer sent me a new one, and then the other day I had a delivery come from DPD that was fine, perfectly fine. Right, that second replacement book wasn't the same driver.
Okay, well, so you got a replacement book. Hooray! Great.
Yeah, got a replacement book. And then the other day I had these books, and then I just got a message saying, we can't find your house. I'm like, DPD have delivered to me for years, and I go, it's the same guy, right? He doesn't know where I live. I don't think he knows that Bath is not Bristol. I don't know if that's the case because it starts in Bristol and it always tracks him, and then
like on the map.
It went back to depot, so I've said, all right, send it to my drop and collect. You can't miss that. It's one of your drop and collects, right?
Oh.
Has it turned up? Didn't turn up yesterday. It was meant to be yesterday, not turned up. It left the depot and never turned up. Today, it's not turned up again to this thing. So I'm like, well, that's gone. And then yesterday, whilst I was at home, the same guy was delivering another parcel from them, which was like the big boxes you see behind me.
I can see
here.
them. Yeah.
Well, I'll show you. I will show you the new cover. Actually, you might like this.
Oh, exciting.
Because I've changed a couple, but and then like I'm at home. I actually get a knock at the. I see it's going between 11 and 12. It's about 11:30. I get a knock at the door. I think, oh, it must be them, and it's not. It's Royal Mail. So I pick up my Royal Mail. I go back in. Literally a minute after I go back in, I get a message saying, we tried you and you weren't in, so we've gone to your neighbour, right? And I'm like, wait a minute. I was literally outside.
There.
Your neighbour, the shop down the road. So he's literally just gone, nope, I'm not even going to try this time. I'm just going to go to the nearest shop I can find.
That's so funny. You see, I would if they saw the Royal Mail person coming to your door and they're like, oh, there's a queue, or this is really awkward. You know what, I can't do it. The anxiety, so I'll just drop it out of the shop.
So I then had to go to this shop, and they were like, and they're not like a shop that does DPD. They are literally just like a shop that sells things. It's like a retail store. They are not a store that like sells groceries or like it's stuff like that. So I go in there and I go, I think you've got some big boxes of books for me. And they go, yes. And I was like, oh, okay. And they were like, yeah. And I said, I'm really sorry. The guy just can't find my house. And they were like, we know. And I was like, what do you mean you know? And they're like, he's been here a lot. I was like, So he's obviously found a new place that he's like, I go to Bath, don't know it. I'm just gonna. And they say he's new and he's just not. But I went to give him a review because I was like, this has happened a few many times. And I don't know where this parcel is. On the parcel I haven't received yet, so I messaged him. He's got a 3.7 star at the moment, and I was like, I don't think it's going well. I'm like. Oh, it's really bad. I feel bad for the guy, but also I'm like 3 times to find the same house, and you're getting closer, but not quite there.
Closer from Bath to the end of the road.
City. This is the right city, and you're like,
oh my word. Oh, well, I'm glad you're getting like you got the replacement one, and you got the as I was admiring behind you, like ooh, Hamilton's just thrown up his new book, The Omen of the Blood God. I love that new cover though.
New cover,
Oh, I love that.
Cool, right?
Yeah, very cool.
And then the back just says,
"Do you want to join a cult?" Brilliant. Yes. that is t-shirt material there, by the way.
Yeah, like do you want to join a cult in red?
And then Fear to Macabre at the bottom. Absolutely. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Oh, they look really good. Nice soft cover as well.
Yeah, it's a nice one. It's still like chunky, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, no. It's a chunker. If I hit some of that, they're going to get a paper cut. Oh, that's amazing! Oh, it's all ticking along despite the new BBEG DPD. That DPD guy.
Well, it's like, oh my gosh, it's so annoying because it's the Forbidden Psalm ones, and I ordered 10 of them as well, so it's not like just one book sample because I was like pretty confident it's correct. I was like, I really want to get these, and this is just happening all the time now. So I'm just like. Oh, and I'll show you these as well. Actually,
show me.
I know we're doing this live. I've changed the design.
Oh, the cloth map for your magic for the Wraithboard.
That's not the right design though, because that's actually got I shouldn't have the big text on it, but it's upside down. But it's nice, right? It's nice.
I've been getting some contributions for the Ennies, and let me tell you, cloth maps are in, and I like a cloth map. Ooh, a cloth.
It's a dice mat. Yeah.
But I love them. I think I told you before, I've got so many like free league, like, like of the various like Lord of the Rings and the Misty Vale one from Dragonbane.
Yeah.
And I love a good map. I've got so many maps that eventually I just want to paper like the guest bedroom with all these fantasy maps. My partner says no. I'm working on it. So I want these cloth maps everywhere.
Want updates.
I will. Because I think the cloth maps, I'm going to argue that they're going to be like sound like absorbing.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
So
yeah.
I'd
love to get the big tapestry one of Sigil.
Yes.
Do you know that one?
Yes.
That would be great.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the thing. I just more fantasy maps, guys.
Yeah, 100%. No, I'm down for that.
Yeah.
The other one that I can share now, and it should be, I mean, it's like basically confirmed, is I found this company called Gothwood who do these dice trays, coffin dice trays. So we're going to have these limited edition Wraithborn engraved coffin dice trays, and a special using the dice rolling, the dice magic dice thing, inlaid in that laser cut in a box with a leather-bound dice rolling tray, and then 3 little slots for your different dice just for the Wraithborn stuff, with a little slide-in lid, which is going to have like moon symbols on it. I'm like,
pretty sweet.
It's going to be like super exclusive numbers because it's it's prohibitively expensive to everyone if they want it. But if you want one, I've obviously
it's
a really cool thing. I want one myself, and the only reason I'm doing them is so I can get one for myself. But also, like, that is like, if you want to play this game and you want the clinky clank of the wood, right, with your nice wooden dice that people have got, this is the ultimate accessory for Raid. I'm pretty like, it's quite wild, but it's also like, and by the way, it's vegan leather, by the way, not real leather.
Ooh, nice. Yeah, no, I got out my dice towers this weekend actually, because we had my in-laws visiting, and they've got my niece who's 2. So, quick story from me. So, I don't expect to get presents or anything like that from my in-laws or anything like, Christmas is Christmas, and things in the world aren't great. Before we went away, when we came back, on our way back, my sister-in-law had got me a little gift. She got me some loose leaf tea, which is always like tick for me, but she got me.
You're British. You'll want some tea.
But she got me. I've got them here. It's a little bag of dice. Right, so she went to the game store, and I'll say this: my sister-in-law doesn't know anything about Dungeons and Dragons or anything like that. But my niece picked out the dice. Now,
oh, nice.
Let me tell you, it's not a full polyhedral 7. Yeah. I've got 2d20s.
Yeah.
one d12 and
best
then
dice.
4 d10s.
Yeah, great.
Great. And I was like,
I mean,
you know
to
what?
be honest, you
Love
don't
it.
ever need more of everything, right? At all times.
And they're really nice colors as well. And I was just like, you know what? These are nice. I want to do something with them, like put them into jewelry or something like that. Because you know, like
I could recommend a nice wooden dice box.
Oh, would you? Look at that smooth segue you did there. Anyway, my niece obviously got some, but she also was like, well, she wanted some d12s as well, so she got some d12s, and she's obviously rolling is I would try to show
a barbarian, clearly.
Well, I thought that too. I was like, good choice. And then she was like playing with them. I was like, no, this is how you roll them. So I showed the usual roller, but she was like throwing them. I was like, okay. And I was like, you know what? I've got some dice towers upstairs. So I went and got them, and obviously she fell in love with them. So she went back with her own dice tower, because I was like, I rarely use them, right? But I was like,
no,
you know
great.
what? She loved it, and I'm like, so I'm slowly but surely.
What a good auntie!
Yeah, the weird aunt with the dice collection is encouraging possibly gambling.
Oh no, don't be like that.
No, but getting into them, yeah, absolutely, and yeah, deep 12s. I was like, good choice, lady.
Oh, my it's now 16-month-old. She's been watching us play like Catan and Root that we play with Iona.
Oh, gorgeous.
And so she now picks up dice and goes like this, and then throws them. She actually knows how to roll dice. I'm like, at 16-month-old, you already know how to roll a dice.
You're slowly getting them into it. Yes, well done, Hamilton. Oh. Yeah. Look at that nerdy family you got.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I've got the Root board game. Totally buying the Root RPG soon.
Yes, absolutely. Slowly but surely build up.
Exactly.
Anyway, enough about cute, wholesome dice stories. Hamilton, what are we talking about today? What is our topic of choice?
We are talking about Eberron, Forge of the Artificer.
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. We knew it was coming to a certain extent because we did the UA back in the middle of last year, I think it was about. I can't remember exactly. It was summertime, I think.
Yes.
And it was clearly not coming into the player's handbook that was coming out in that year. And so we were assuming, is it going to be a full rebrand? Is it going to be of the whole Eberron Rising from the Last War book that we had before? And there was, there were rumblings there weren't rumblings, but there was the whole weird thing they kind of had with Eberron in 5e, where they kind of did, I forget the actual other book. It was called Wayfinder's Guide to Eberron, which came out sort of like earlier on, like quite soon after the launch of 5e. It was quite early days. And then they lifted it into like a more wider, broader, definitive like campaign guide in Rising from the Last War. This then isn't as much that, where it's more like, okay, we're just going to update the key elements of the gameplay that are character related, just to say, not like NPC related necessarily, unless it comes up with a couple of like additional cool little tidbits of to do with things that are very particular to the setting, such as bastions, which again are very character focused. These ideas of moving mobile bastions, which are very cool. Airships, which is something very particular to the Eberron setting, and then obviously something that players interact with, and then 3 little fun adventures. So it's a kind of like a moose bouche or like maybe more like it's more like a aperitif, I guess.
Yeah, like a tasting platter.
Yeah, a tasting platter.
I wouldn't go as far to say that this is a primer though, or a gazetteer compared to some of the other things we've looked at. But yeah, and it's roughly about 100 pages as well. Yeah. Just a little bit over, which I find wild, because when you said to me, like, it's really short, I was like, what do you mean? And I got it. And like, compared to the Rising of Last War, I'm just holding them side by side. Like, you could have
half the size?
Yeah, half the size. So instantly I'm like, oh, what's in it? And is it because we've had that before, where we've had shorter books, and it's just been like, this meeting could have been an email, or this email could have been a meeting. You know what I mean?
This meeting could have been an email is exactly what it feels like in some of the. And I found it first physically. That's how I remembered it was coming out, because I was in Christmas time. I was looking for presents, and I was looking, and I went into my local game shop, and I saw it, and I was like, "Oh, you've got the book. I'll have a look." And I was like, "That's tiny. I didn't know they were actually going to do this as a physical release. I thought this would just be, just like an online thing." But actually, it's densely packed, isn't it? It's like every page is giving you some really key information here. it's not like you're getting a lot of money, like bang for your buck, as they say, sort of thing. Everything is of use and interesting, I'd
Yeah,
say.
I think so too. Like, because if you recall, this was kind of like last minute announced that this book was happening.
Yeah.
It sort of was coming in. I think this is where I'm going to get my brain is going to be wrong, but it was like, I believe it was like beginning of September. It was supposed to be released, and then it got pushed back for reasons.
right.
I can't remember what. And I'm just having a quick look now to see if there was any like videos. Sometimes Dungeons and Dragons do like little videos about like promoting stuff, and I can't really see anything. You know how they used to be like, here's something you'll know about like Eberron, here's like this, and all of a sudden, and I can't really see anything, which is a little bit disappointing. So again, it feels like one of those things where they go, we've made this, get it out, and that's it. And I know, again, we always say this about Wizards of the Coast, like things are going on, we don't know everything, and obviously the world as it is right now is not great. It seems such a shame because, like you said, I kind of forgot it was coming out until you mentioned it, and I was like, oh, we really should look at it because we both really enjoyed Eberron when we first got to it, and then I started reading it, and I was like, oh. Yes, this expands on what we read from Rising of the Last War. I really like it. Like my spoiler, my only comment is like, if you get this, you definitely should get the Rising of the Last War and have them together. Because like I said, it's not a primer or anything like that. It just kind of expands on stuff, and it does say rules expansion at the top. But I just know there'll be. You've got a parent out there or a weird aunt or uncle like you and me who will be like, here, take this book. I thought you still got D&D on the cover. And you're like, okay. So that's my warning, is just like, if you're going to get this with someone, make sure they've got or read a little bit of Eberron first, so they're not going in completely unprepared.
And this kind of fits in with the things I keep sort of mentioning that I wish they did more of, but then it kind of annoys me that this is sort of lumbered, I guess, with the requirement to fulfill the update to 5.5 or whatever you want to call it. Because for me, it's like I really would love more of this size book updates to settings. I think it'd be really great. I always go back to or alternate campaigns, like I've said many times, the Dragon Heist alternate campaign that's written by James Hayek and Itrikasso together, which you can find on D&D, DM's Guild, which was written by the same team who did Dragon Heist. It was clearly just like, here's all the extra ideas that we had. It's unfortunately burdened by having to do the job of filling in the replacement elements for 5.5. And I would so love if it was 117 pages or whatever it is of all new stuff without the need to do that bit. And I know that's why it's here. And that's kind of the only reason probably why it's turned up. And they feel the need to then sort of add to it because they've kind of, I don't know why they couldn't have put it in the player's handbook. Maybe they just had a page limit and that was where they set to. But it feels a bit like, I'm very fortunate that we've got these extra, probably half of the book that's additional, or maybe a bit more, maybe like 2/3 of the book, which is like new content.
Yeah.
I would just love to see this happen more often as part of Wizards' sort of strategy.
So because like we've looked at like older settings like Planescape and Spelljammer in sort of a lead up to like them being re-released as 5th edition versions, and often it's been really interesting because like usually I have very little knowledge about these things. You have like, at least with Planescape and a little bit of Spelljammer, and we found some really interesting bits, and then to see it sort of in the 5th edition version, we're like, oh, I guess so. It doesn't really spark. It's sort of, it's more streamlining, so not necessarily adding new content, or it's just little tweaks. And here, because obviously, and we appreciate that, obviously, Eberron is the newest kind of setting on this. I say that it's like 20 years old now. It makes me think of like, do you remember when they did the Shattered Obelisk? So it's Fandelver and the Shattered Obelisk. So the first part of it was just the same campaign, and then it's like, but if you want to expand it, here it is. And it kind of was like latched on like a sequel, and it didn't really fit right. And it feels like, for me, we need more of these like little installments. So like going forward, like with the, what I'm trying to say is with the Spelljammer and the Planescape, having like separate little books on the different realms, the different planes of existence, and then like here's and even if it's just a PDF of like 10 pages and pay what you want or anything like that, I think that would be more interesting.
Even just like moving to, I know they love the hardcover, but I feel like they could embrace the soft cover again.
Oh, yes.
Do you know what I mean? And like, I feel like some soft cover releases for certain books would be really good, or just even if it is small, short release, mostly online. But it's those kind of like, if it's just an adventure, or it's just like I'm thinking about this with my book in the sense of like, okay, you look at the faction, you think, oh, geez, do we have to do all the planes? Oh, geez, do we have to do all the factions? You know, like there's 16 of them, there are 12 of them. I need to think of and actually, what I'm really interested in are these 4, for example, that I really want to focus on, and then tag that on to a really cool adventure and be like, okay, like maybe one day we'll get around to all the factions, but for now we're going to go like, all right, there's a thing that happens with the Doom God, the Sensates, and the Guilders, and the Harmonium, right? Those are the 4 we're going to focus on in this adventure. We're going to give you a really detailed breakdown on their 4 like areas, like their, you know, their what they're called, their guild halls, and then we're going to go into a nice adventure that deals with them, takes you to 2 different planes that you haven't experienced, which will also give you a primer on those 2 planes in here. And it doesn't have to be as neatly wrapped up, I think, as like we're going to do all the planes and we're just going to focus on planes. Now we're going to go all the factions, focus on those. Actually, just like take a few little bits that you can deal with, and if you get around to all of them in the end, great. I feel like D&D gets itself in its head about those things of like, we need to do all of them. And actually what this shows is you can take one thing, add a little few extra bits in it, give you some new things around it, and package it up neatly. I just think, you know, if it was more new, all new stuff would be great. It's kind of what I'm getting at.
And actually going on that, I think something like, and again, I say this as without knowing anything about publishing or anything about timelines or anything like that, because I don't write these things, but like, as you said, if you had a monthly drop and it's like 12, like the 12 planes, and they're all linked together, so each month there is something, and then at the end you say, hey, let's collect them all in a book, so that those people have missed it. So I just really build that thing, because like, from the quick look that I was looking at now, there doesn't seem to be anything new that's going to be released. Like I was looking at D&D Beyond to see if there's any upcoming like press release or anything like that, and I can't see anything. I wonder if they've gone like back to like, oh, it's just going to be third-party partner stuff for now, whilst we get our heads around, because obviously there's the new lead designer that's come in,
and I think that's really big news, because it is James Hayek, and they are like still one of my, I think they've just made one of my favorite books, so I'm still going to stick with them as like a really great designer. I totally love your idea of the monthly thing, and I think even if it was just like every month we're going to have one designer that we're just going to put to focusing on like a thing, right? It doesn't have to be an adventure, I don't think, because there's already Adventure League kind of doing that, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's like, here's like, you can take a focus, you just got to choose something particular. So it could be like, I'm going to take a plane, I'm going to take a city in Faerun, I'm going to take a class and make a couple of subclasses, I'm going to do these things, right? And then they could be called something else, like the D&D does like designer's choice guild, or something. Guild. Like the guild files or something like that. It's like that, guild, something like that. And then at the end of the year, you collate it in a nice book. And maybe each year has a theme. So this year's going to be the Planescape theme, but it might be one week you're going to get a load of abyssal monsters. The next month you're going to get something all about Archeon, the plane of Archon, or whatever it's called.
Archon, yeah,
exactly. And then you're going to get something all about this really weird part of the sigil. And if it did that, then you kind of feel like, oh, this year's the year of the Planescape, next year's the year of the Spelljammer, next year's the year of the
Mystra
Wizards.
or something.
Or just the Wizards, even. It's just going to be Wizards this year. We're going to do, like, make new spells, we're going to do different subclasses, we're going to really play with it.
So in Magic the Gathering, they obviously have drops like 3 or 4 times a year of the different settings of the different cards, right? And then it's like a couple months on this, and then the next month, and then all that stuff. And to be fair to them, they've also had, Universes Beyond as well. So it's like, and do you want Spider-Man? And we go, no, you got Spider-Man. Do you want something else? And you go, no, if we want to play with these. No, I have more. So they're like almost overwhelming in terms of drops. So I do think like having maybe 2 things themed a year and like take the time to let people enjoy it, because obviously the risk of running something that's all year round is like, well, I don't care about Planescape,
true, maybe you're right,
but I do, I think it just feels interesting not to have
the summer of Spelljammer.
Well, that's it. Exactly. Just like, hey, a couple of months, do this and get people into the stuff that's already there, and like you said, like have some extra little bits and pieces. And I think Adventurers Guild is the one forward. It used to have lots of adventures tying into the ongoing what's the most biggest release and stuff like that.
And that's the thing. And it's like they always talk about, we want to monetize, we want to do this, and you're like, I don't want to be here making more money for Hasbro, but at the end of the day, I'm just like, I'm doing it as much because I want to see exciting things come out for the games I am. But if you wanted to sell it to them, the idea is that, look, hey, it also encourages people to go back and buy that Spelljammer book because everyone bought it who wanted it at the release, and maybe now you're like, oh, now there's something cool new. Someone else is going to go buy that book, and there's more people playing your game, which is only good, right?
And that's why, like, going back to the Eberron stuff, like you said, like the majority of it is like just an update of the stuff, but at the same time, they're good updates. And also that the stuff that they focus on in it, I've gone, oh yeah, because like I said to you, it's been a while since I read Eberron, and when we read it, I was like, this is really cool. I really enjoy it. And then obviously, I was like, we should do more of it. Maybe I should do this. And then obviously, life got in the way and never comes around. But like, even in this, like, just over 100 pages of stuff, you have stuff like the dragon marks. It goes, here's what the dragon marks are. You know, the very pivotal story element to Eberron. I think at the time when we talked about it, we said, like, you could have a story just set in Eberron without the dragon mark houses, but that's just not Eberron. But then it goes, okay, so here's the dragon mark, so you remember it. But what about we have it so that you got you manifest the dragon mark, but then as you become the adventurer, as you sort of gain an experience, let's have a greater one. So it starts to change you. And I was like, oh, of course, that makes so much sense. Yeah. Of course. And then he goes, hey, do you want like a really, what if you became really top? Well, there's this very rare dragon mark that gives you to do this. And you're like, yeah, that sounds good as well. And it's just like, that makes total sense to me that you would develop it rather than just having it like, there you are at level 4. That's your first feat. And that's it. You were just that. It's like, oh no, because obviously every single fantasy book that has ever had the chosen one that has a special power, of course they go through cycles of developing and like doubting themselves, and then it's manifesting themselves through a mark or through some sort of talent. And I'm just like, oh yeah, again, obvious. I know, but I was like, yeah, that's really cool.
It's really true, and like I like that as a designer to like you can take these aspects, and if you can like give people the opportunity, I think to take on like a choice early on, which is kind of always kind of fun, and then allow that thing to develop with them. If you can give them the opportunity to then like keep choosing, it doesn't have to be great. It doesn't have to be like 15 choices for each thing, but it could be like 5 at the beginning and then 2 choices at the end, and then maybe 2 choices on the 3rd tier or something like that. Or maybe you just like, now you're here and you're going to have to adapt to it. But it's so good that I feel like I've said this over and over on this, like the more things you can give players, I think, to allow them to like gain, it can overwhelm people, I agree, but they don't have to use them. But if you can give people more options to take, I think then you opening up to more flexibility and freedom in like people's games and play, which is always good.
100%.
So as you said, like it goes through to like dive into the book a bit. It starts off with a bit of like an overview, as you said at the beginning, which is kind of just an intro, and then you get this little bit on the draconic prophecy, which really kind of tells you what prophecies are, if you know what I mean. In the sense of like a prophecy is something you infer from, and here's some examples of how you may infer from them. But then again, I say that I've done that in my book. I've said this is an oracle, this is how you use a prophecy sort of thing. So I guess you have to kind of explain it like that. But it's also, that's kind of what it does, and it trying to just instill in you that this draconic prophecy is quite a key element of the worlds of Eberron. It's something that's determining its future, and everyone is like, there's whole systems and financial systems as well. What do I mean? What's the word I'm looking for? Like economy around it is what I mean. Yeah, as well, of like people reading it and understanding it and spending the time trying to like prophesize what it is stating. And so it's kind of, but it's a very short, like one pager, I guess. I've got it on D&D Beyond, but I assume it's a page or 2 pages.
Roughly about a page, yeah. And again, this is where I'm like, oh, you know what would have been great? The beginning chapter of the Rising of War, because like the first thing it says is like 7 things to know. What is Eberron? And it gives you the last war has ended, sort of, the Dragonmark dynasties, lands of intrigue, a continent of adventure, world of magic, new races, and D&D with a twist. And I was like, okay, there's the 7 principles. Easy. I think you should have had that. And then, because then it goes into, obviously here it goes into more of a history about what this place is. And like, but like, I would, because again, you just got intro again. You need that intro again, just to be like, rather than like the draconic prophecy says, like, wait, what?
What is the because there's no real like there is, but it's like it kind of just starts off with the language of draconic prophecy is richly symbolic and largely indigenous. I'm like, I don't even know what this thing is, you know. But you're not picking, but I guess that's the point. They're assuming you're not picking this up unless you've got
the book. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Because I was going to say, because it talks about attributing it to the progenitor dragons of Eberron. And I will say, I'm going to pronounce these names wrong, Cerberus and Kyber. It's vast and complex. Its signs are scattered across the world. What makes it especially complex is that it doesn't define a singular path for the future. And so, there's that talk about like, what does this mean? Like the two, like, because I think they said like Eberron is the world that encaptures, I think it's Cerberus, and then Kyber is around it, or something like that.
Yes.
Again, I can't remember off the top of my head. But it's like, okay, we needed that context before we launch into... Because it doesn't make any references to the dragons. Like,
No.
By the way, Eberron was a dragon. It talks about it a little bit. I'm like, oh, we need that. And also, like, Kyber is, quote unquote, the evil, chaotic dragon.
Yeah.
Cerberus is the good dragon. I think Cerberus is that was it. I think Kyber, this is where I'm going to get my stuff from. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Kyber killed Cerberus, and Cerberus came with these dragon shards that are littered about the world, and Eberron then encased Kyber.
That's it.
I think that's what my brain tells me.
I'm remembering this. Yes. Eberron is the middle, is like the heart, the core that's been consumed. Cerberus is kind of the land, and Kyber is the thing that controls us around.
I said Kyber was in the middle. Eberron is around it, and Cerberus is. I believe that. Well, anyway, one dragon killed the other, and the final dragon sorted the other one out.
That was it. Yeah, it's something
Names
like,
may vary.
Again, it was a long time ago, and I can't remember it. But you're right, but it's an interesting story. It's very Dungeons & Dragons-y. And but that's kind of it. It kind of explains the whole book in that sense of like, by the way, you already know this. We're not going to explain it to you. This is just some additional information for you on it.
Which I think it does say somewhere going, hey, this is, again, it says on the cover, rules expansion. Hey, this works well with this. But I'm like, but it would have been nice just to have it a little bit more in it. It's like, it says here that an extensive supplement to Eberron Rise of War. Yeah. I don't mind things being repeated. I've got to be honest, I'm very much happy for things to be repeated several times in a book. Because I think the Dragon Prophecy is really cool. But also there's other points it says about the primer in that first chapter of the Rising War. I'm like, that's what hooked me in instantly, going like, this is really fucking cool.
Do you mind me asking what the price was for the book? Do you know what it is?
Yeah, I can. I was going to read. I was going to read on the back, and it doesn't say.
Okay, it's relatively decent. It's only £24 for the standard edition.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, I can get the alternate cover for £16.95.
£16.95.
Yeah, 17 quid plus £5 delivery.
Oh, right.
That's what they're getting you. That's what they're getting you.
Yeah.
It's about 20 quid. It's about £20.
Yeah, online here I can just see it now. It's about 30 quid for the alt one. $30 for the alt one. So
$30.
I forget we're not in the same currency anymore.
Yeah,
so it's not bad. Yeah,
it's a good value for what it is actually. And so I think that's probably what their problem was. They were probably thinking we want to hit that 20 quid, $30 price point, which means if we start pounding this out to 150 pages, that's 25 quid, $40 maybe, and then feels like this needed to be more, and maybe they felt comfortable at that £20 price potentially. We've talked a lot about the actual physical artifact and the actual book, I guess. But it's really interesting. I think it's a really interesting topic because we're looking at, I think, hopefully for other people it's interesting. They said we're just looking at this as like as a quite a new object that's being released. And there's something quite interesting about this as an artifact as much as the inside. But then you've got the Artificer in page afterwards, and it talks about the traits. It's relatively similar. There's just always little twists on things here.
Yes.
D8 hit point die is the same. Saving throw proficiencies in Constitution and Intelligence the same. Skill proficiencies are Arcana, History, Investigation, Medicine, Nature, Perception, or Sleight of Hand. You choose two of which. Simple weapon proficiencies only, and then tool proficiencies of Thieves' Tools, Tinkerer's Tools, and an Artisanal tool of your choice. Light and medium armor and shields. Obviously, we all know that the minute you choose armorist, that's going to change.
That's your life now, yeah.
That's your life. And then some starting equipment that's studded leather armor, dagger, thieves' tools, tinker tools, dungeoneer's pack, and some money. So, pretty similar to what that's all pretty similar. Same sort of introduction as well as to we all know what artificers are. They are the masters of invention, as they say, but also you are the ultimate in the crafting and creating of magical artifacts in however that manifests in your different subclasses. And in this, we get the standard subclasses of the artillerist, the armorist, armorer. That's the one. And I was like the alchemist, the battlesmith, and the cartographer. Battlesmith, I always think is like Robo Dog Friend.
Yes,
that's kind of what I think.
Come, Robo. Yeah.
Hey, K9.
K9. Affirmative. Yes.
Affirmative.
But you know what? I will say, because I think because we looked at the UA a little bit, I think, for all these ones. But I don't remember, and this is where it'll be very embarrassing if we have done it, if we looked at the Cartographer UA. I don't think we did. But like the one thing that stood out to me as I had a quick look through was this idea of getting an atlas. So at level 3 for the Cartographer, it says, whenever you finish a long rest whilst holding the Cartographer tools, you use that tool to create a set of magical maps by touching at least 2 people, one of which can be yourself, up to a maximum of creatures with +1 to your intelligence modifier, yada, yada, yada. Each target receives a magical map, which constantly updates to show the relative position of all map holders, but is illegible to others. This map lasts until you die, or until you use this feature again, at which point any existing maps will be immediately vanished. So you are doing Find My Friends.
And
I just thought that was really cool. And then obviously there are certain Dragon marks where you could have like telepathy or something like that. But I was just like, combining those ones, I thought, I've not really thought of like, how do you know where the other person is? You're often it's like, oh, we're going to whisper, we have like sending stones. But actually knowing where someone is at all times, I was like, that's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, it's really useful. No, it is a really good idea.
The target knows the location of all other map holders on the same plane of existence itself. So you know how far away, but possibly if they're up high, if you're doing like a 3D map, perhaps. Yeah, so I just thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, if you think of the sort of like steampunkness of it, is that kind of idea of like these like 3-dimensional like holograms you can imagine.
Yes. Yeah. Again, maybe I didn't read the UA, but I was like, that's really cool. And instantly I'm like, what else could I do with that? Like, so I'd not really considered that as a cool feature for your class.
I'm watching a YouTube creator. I used to have a channel called Miscast, but he now does it's called a permadeath YouTube channel, which is like he has to release a video every day. And if it fails on that mission, permadeath to the YouTube channel.
Whoa.
And it's called Trent Holbrook. He's really great. One of the really amazing Warhammer miniature creator and D&D as well. He's done a lot. He's made his own RPGs, but he's doing a lot of D&D stuff at the moment. And he was just made, and you know the Watabu fantasy map generator that they have? Well, they also do a fantasy building generator, and it does like the plans for like fancy like castles and villas and taverns, and it does like plans, but it also does elevations as well.
Oh, fun.
And so he's used that, and he said like, I'm always finding he's got like a campaign where he's got like 8 people, a number of people playing, but they're coming in and out every week who's available. And so what he's done is made these little printouts so that when they're not there, they just put their little model on a little map to say that's where they are, so you always know where they are. And it just reminded me of it. It was such a really nice idea. It's just like
cute.
Printed out these little cards of like that indicate like sometimes use those buildings, but also like little maps to say this is the town or this is the city where they are. And he puts those down, and it's just like, oh, that's where Brenda is, and we know where she is. So when we're off adventuring, we can always just remember, where's Brenda?
That's Brenda. She's not with you guys. She's back at the tavern going like, I need a break.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but it was a really nice, like, it's just like a visual memory point, and it just reminded me so much
really
of this.
cool.
It's like a nice little thing.
No, I really like that as well. And and again, I would say, just me flicking through the physical version now, the artwork for all the, I mean, like, obviously we're going to have to talk about the artwork. Like, there's each, the alchemicalist and the armorer look so badass looking at them. And even the battlesmith looks like this like individual who in my head is like a big individual male presenting with a big sort of mechanical arm, and then like the weirdest looking dog you've ever seen. It's probably really creepy, but I just like clearly investigating a crime of some sort. And I'm just like going like, oh, I hadn't even considered the battlesmith being an investigator of some sort. And like now I'm thinking of all those murder mysteries where the individual has like a dog or a cat. So there's a couple of them, like I think in books they have like there's certain animal companions that can help you solve a crime. Just like going like, that's really cool. And I was just like, the artwork is so good. Makes me want to go through it again and be like, where does that character fit in? How can I make them an NPC or something like that?
Yeah.
Just because the artwork is so good.
And actually that's the thing that this guy's also been doing. It's just like photocopying this art and then putting it like getting a stick. You can get these sticker packs. It's really good. I'd recommend everyone watch the channel because it's really like good crafting, fun things to do, and doing a lot more D&D stuff. But he did one we got like you can buy pre-printable like playing cards stickers. And so he was just like, and you get the template online, and it was just like photocopying like images and taking them from online, getting a blank cards or some crappy cheap like playing cards, and then just sticking the NPC pictures on there, and it's just like loads of, and just like using those as like,
That's
and
really
if you go on his
cool.
website, he's got like a whole download, so you can download them as well for free.
Ah.
So if you go there and you can get the template, but it's a really nice little like if you're playing at home or with people in person, really great
Yeah.
little resource to have.
That's awesome. I'll definitely get you to give me the link afterwards so I can investigate. And I'll put it in
Yeah.
the show notes as well. That's really, really cool.
I actually think generally, overall, the changes to the Artificer are good.
Yes.
I think the amount of spells you get and the cantrips you get are great straight off. So you get spell casting straight away at level 1 because as you did anyway. You get 2 cantrips of your choice of Acid Splash and Prestidigitation are recommended, but there are really good ones in the cantrip list. Yeah, so Spare Dying, I think is a great one. It's quite a powerful one to have, particularly at level 1, because it's going to happen a lot more than you think. Dancing Lights is always really good.
I love Dancing Lights. Yeah.
Always Mage Hand is great, and as an Artificer, you can always role play that as something cool. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Ray of Frost and Shock and Grasp, and those ones are always good. But I thought there's a good list there of spells, to be honest.
Yeah,
to choose from.
definitely. Like, yeah, you got guidance, message, you know, all these sort of things for cantrips. I think, again, it feels very thematic for like beginning Artificer, and then obviously going up level 1, you know, you got stuff like Fairy Fire, always Grease. I hate Grease. Right? It always makes me laugh. You know, level 2, we've got stuff like Homunculus Servant is the brand new spell, quote unquote, and that was taken from the 2014 Eberron stuff. Like rather than that having it being a class feature, they brought that out, which is good.
But invisibility and see invisibility both useful, as well as
useful.
Restoration is always useful. If you haven't got healing spellcaster, it's always handy. But like Blur's good, you know.
Blur,
Alter Self can be really useful in a lot of like infiltration situations.
Yeah.
And Heat Methal's always good because you can always like heat someone's sword up and hurt them if you're ever, you know, if you
all
know
their
what I mean.
armor, cook them.
All their
from
armor,
inside out.
exactly.
Level 3, you got Haste, Glyph of Warding, Fly, of course, Revivify. Level 4 gets into stuff like Freedom of Movement, Private Sanctum. I always think is always a useful one. Mordekaiser's Private Sanctum, Stone Shape, Stone Sphinx,
pretty good as well.
Summon, Resilient Sphere, Summon Construct, and then finally, of course, everyone's favourite level 5 spell, Bigby's Hand. I won't hear a word against it. It's one of the best spells ever. It's so much fun.
I like animated objects because then I can pretend to be in Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, I was going to say Fantasia was my one with making all the brooms do stuff. Yeah.
True, yeah.
So I think again, as always with these classes, when they've updated them, it's like, oh yes, I can actually see a character using this. It isn't just like, oh, just bung another spell in there. So I always think it's quite thematic. So whatever kind of Artificer you're thinking about doing, you won't be disappointed by the spell list.
100%. That's a really good way of putting it. And I think remembering always this is a prepared spells kind of character, not you're sort of like, I know everything, so you got to be on it, which is always, I find, it's extra admin, but it's part of the game and it's part of the character class. But it's just worth noting. Tinker's Magic is really cool. The Mending cantrip, having that as well as an additional cantrip you always know is really good. Really useful, makes a lot of thematic sense as well, but it comes up a lot. And the things you can make are things you're going to like use all the time when you're adventuring. Grappling hooks, great. Bucket, oil, you know, a torch, parchment, you know, candles, crowbar, caltrops, you know, all good stuff that are like, you know, having available at all times, which to a certain extent, a lot of DMs will let you get away with, but also just like, I'm going to throw some oil on this person before I burn them is always a thing. Do you know what I mean? When you're in a fight, it's always something you could try. You know, good sort of adventuring fare that you can make. And you can use it up to your intelligent modifier minimum once, which is pretty much, you're probably never going to run out of that, I imagine.
No,
you probably can try, but generally. And then replicate magic item replaces what was magical tinkering or something, wasn't it called before, I believe?
Something like that. This is essentially this is the core feature of the Artificer.
Yes.
So like at every couple of levels you can create another item, and depending on your level you can get a slightly better plan, as it were, these schematics and plans. Which again, I didn't get very far when I played an Artificer. There's some really good ones. I always think it's just nice that you're not, you know, you start off small and then build up, as always. I think I always remember going, yes, I will absolutely be making a bag of holding at level 2, just to get everyone that straight away. Sending stones as well. I'm like, damn, that's pretty good.
There's some really good ones. Yeah, as you said, like you've already talked about, but even like shield +1, even at level 2, is quite a handy thing, or a weapon +1 is something you're not necessarily going to get very easily at level 2. So being able to give that to your like fighter or barbarian or any like melee based class is still pretty good. Cloak of Elvenkind is pretty OP. I think Eyes of Charming's really good. Spell Refueling Ring can be pretty badass. There's a couple. Then level 10 plus, you're at weapon +2, shield +2, wand of the war mage, ring of feather falling, ring of mild shielding. Like if you're going to go out into the astral plane, ring of mild shielding might be useful, sort of thing. I think it's really good. I think it's well laid out. I think the thing that I also think that is the unthought of trait that it does is if you're a GM and you've given someone a magical item and you want to rescind that, you can pretend that it's 1d4 days after the artificer who created it died. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can be like, oh shit, I've given them, because they can make what are they called? You can make a flying, what's it called as well? Flying what are they called? What do witches go on?
Brooms.
Brooms. They can make a broom, can't you?
Are you okay? Yes.
Yeah. So you can do that. Because you can make wondrous items as well. Like the list is more extensive than what we're saying. And so I think like if you're like, shit, I've given them this broom, they found it, and it's really ruining my campaign. And then suddenly you go, you see, after one day it starts to wither. And then you see, and then you investigate it further and you see there's a name saying made by Artificer, Jiminy Bob Cricket. And you're like, and then they're like, oh, no.
I just saw their name in the newspaper.
The obituary.
The obituary.
And then you're like, oh no, it's disappeared. Oh, shame.
Oh, shucks. Yeah.
So there's a good GM's out they've made here for you guys.
I like that. That's quite funny. I guess when it happens the second or third time, they're like, Fiona, why are all of our items named after people we just killed? I'm like, I don't know.
You're just unlucky, I guess.
Because you're unlucky. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Because it's more on me as a GM being rubbish at giving like good items than or giving OP items rather than the
OP
players.
items are such a bad. It's so easily done. Then you go, wait, this is ruining my game. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
You choose your Artificer subclass at 3.
Yep.
You get ability score improvement or a feat at 4. And then you get Magic Item Tinker, which is, as a bonus action, you can touch a magic item within 5 feet of yourself that you created with Replicate Magic Item. You expend a level +1 spell shot to recharge the item. Number of charges the item regains is equal to level of spell spot extended.
Yeah, so if you've got like let's say the Ring of Falling, it has like 3 charges. You can spend a level 1 spell slot to recharge that item and gain it equal to that. So that's quite good if you're like, the item is more important because it gives me an ability that I don't have currently or need it, just that extra boost. That's great. And then on the flip side. Yeah, and then on the flip side, quite a drastic one, but I think it's important, the Drain magic item. So for a bonus action, if you touch a magic item within 5 feet of you that you created, you cause it to vanish, converting it back into magical energy into a spell slot. So that's like a sudden, like, I need that spell slot right now. I just got to get rid of that magic item. I can make it again later. So I like that. That sort of sudden, like, you're willing to destroy your your magical items in order for you to do something else. Have that spell slot to do a magic. So I like that transferring. I think it's quite interesting for sort of resource management.
I felt it was a bit sad that you can only do this one time. Whilst I feel like if it's spell slot regeneration, you're only going to have up to a maximum of 6 of these items. I really don't think it's a problem if they just said, because it's already limited. I just don't think they should limit it to once a day, is personally what I would have balanced that out at. Because then I think it gives you more freedom. And it's also a bit like how they played Lucius, the character by Trott in High Rollers, the season 2. Where he was playing an artificer that also like just used like color spells, which was kind of like the fact that they drew color out of things and then used that to make magic in a sense. They kind of remind me of that a bit. And also actually the other one, is I'm thinking as well, more likely it was Tarion Darrington, which was, he had the gems, didn't he, that he used to like break and then use the gems were charged with spell magic. So I feel like You could use it thematically more if it was more like, I'm just going to build these things for the day and then I'm going to break them down during the day if I need them. It's kind of cool
absolutely.
thing.
And on top of that as well, you have the transmutate item. So first of all, you got the charge item, drain item, and then changing it to a different item of a plan you already know, which I was like, that's also very cool. And that's a magic action. So again, it takes your turn in combat, but I was like, oh, I don't need this ring anymore. I need to do something else. I think that's just a really cool thing. And I'm sure it had it before anyone says anything, but I was like, oh yeah, I like that. And again, once you use the switch, you can't do so till you use long rest. I kind of appreciate it there, having the long rest feature there, because otherwise you just keep swapping through all your items if you're trying to change it to be like, what's the right combination, you know?
I've never been a massive fan of Flash of Genius. I never felt it was did it a lot. I think it's like up to your intelligence modifier, which probably maxes out at +5, doesn't it, these days? I think
it does. But I think last time, and this is where I'm going to get it wrong, I think it was advantage. You gave advantage rather than the +5. I feel you should give advantage. You can do it, equal to your intelligence modifier, just because like. Roughly, giving advantage to someone does work out to being equivalent to a +5 anyway. And I'm just there going like,
you might be only a +3. You're only going to have 3 goes at this, and I don't think it's like that big a thing to be like a whole level is dedicated to it. I think if it was like, you could use this intelligence, maybe like.
I wonder if it was also just if it was for every an ability check or a saving throw. I think it was also, again, I'll have to double check it, but it's an attack roll as well. I think. Making it ability check or saving throw fine, and it's your reaction as well. So it's actually quite costly, I think. So I really liked it when it was advantage, because I think that was pretty like cool.
That feels much better than potentially just +3. But there you go. You get more magic items at 10, then 11. You get a spell storing item. When you finish a long rest, you can touch one simple or martial weapon or one item that you can use as a spellcaster focus and store a spell in it. Once the spell has a casting time of an action, doesn't require a material column that's consumed by the spell. You needn't have the spell prepared either. Whilst holding the object, a creature can take a magic action to produce a spell's effect from it using its spellcasting ability. A spell stays an object until it's used a number of times equal to twice your intelligence modifier, or until you use this feature again to store a spell in an object, which I actually think is really quite a good
I like it a lot. Yeah.
Because the number of times equal to twice your intelligence modifier could mean up to 10 times, or like averaging out probably even at level 11, you probably would be maybe you'd have probably done an improvement by then, so you might be on +4. Probably. So that's 8 times one spell. Well, you're just gonna and up to a level 3. So you could choose a really pretty decent spell that could just be a good attack spell that's always in your back pocket, and you could focus, or a good curing spell that's in your back pocket.
So a curing or a protection spell, if like you've got the barbarian or the fighter that's always up front and they need like a protection from or resistance or something like that. I believe I'm just making sure it's an artificer spell. Okay, so maybe not those ones, but I think
they've got cure wounds, for example, and they've got haste and
expeditious retreat, like jump, long strider. So there's sanctuary is another one perhaps.
There's a precision strike, I think, was one of them as well, wasn't it? Which could be true strike, which is it's not a massive one, but it is at least something to just give them a little bit of a benefit to hitting things.
I like that because again, it's that sort of thing. Was again visually, you're like, let me look at that sword. There, I fixed it. It's like, what do you mean you fixed it? It's like, it's fine. Just test it out, and then you could do it. You go, oh, this is great. So, yes, but it might explode now. That's the flavour of it, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I think, I do think that's like a nice thing because again, it goes back into that supporting role for the Artificer of giving something a little bit additional to that.
Beyond that, it's really 14, 18, and 19 are Advanced Artifice, which is just updating magic item. You get your Flash Genius back after a short rest. Magic item, then Master at then level 18. Epic Boon, which is the standard for 19. And then at 20, you get the Soul of Artifice, which kind of plays and builds upon that element you were talking about like you can drain the item. So it's called Cheat Jet. If you're reduced to 0 hit points but not killed outright, you can disintegrate any number of uncommon or rare magic items created in your replicate magic item feature. If you do so, your hit points instead change to a number equal to 20 times the number of magic items disintegrated.
Good.
This is a really great. This is actually a seriously good epic, like level 20 boon, in the sense that could be up to 120 HP because you can have up to 6 at level 20, and it's a good like, oops, I'm out. Like I need this, and everyone, bang, I'm getting 120 hit points or whatever your hit points are. I mean, I can't imagine they could be that high if you 8 times 20. If you rolled 8 every time.
Yeah, if you just destroy that number of items. Yeah, because it's a Hail Mary in a sense, because like maybe you beefed yourself up on all these items. So as soon as you disintegrate them, then you're down to just being normal Joe Blogs. But it might be like, hey, I need to do this, and then I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to spend like get out of there.
That doesn't preclude what we're talking about, that super special spell. So, the one we were just talking about, the infused spell soaring item. So you could have just done all that. You're now 120, and stored in there is expedition retreat, or something, or just something like, or even like a healing spell or something, just or just the last attack. It's a load of attacks I'm just going to do now and hope that we get out of here. But it's good. And then the magical guidance is when you finish short rest, you regain all expended use of flash genius if you have attunement to at least one magic item. But I thought we've already got that.
No, it's you regain one. In the advanced artifice on a short rest, you only gain one use, and then here you get all the uses, but only if you've got one magic item. So you still, like, even if you were cheating death and you had 6 items, you still need one at the end. I think the only thing I'd say, and this is just it's a silly me thing, because obviously I've got the book open here. I'm like, okay, cool. Uncommon or rare magic items I've created, great. And then I've gone to look at the magic item plans, and it doesn't say what's common, uncommon, or rare. And I know that's very silly, because obviously, normally I'd go look them up and be like, oh, I've made this. But I think
that is freaking wild.
You need to have that saying like, yeah, these are all commons, because I am going to assume that everything that's at level 2 is all common items, right?
Uncommon. I think one is, level 2 is common. I think the next one's uncommon, and then you imagine it's
rare,
wondrous and rare.
That's what I would assume as well. But it would be nice to be like, these are all rare. These are all, just to clarify, because I can imagine just in the, because then I could be like, okay, going into this, if I need to do this, and not be like, oh, well, I'll just get rid of my goggles of night. It's like, yeah, that's definitely a common item. I think just, again, this is just me organising it in my brain, what I would do. So I definitely put them in that.
Subclasses.
Yeah.
Alchemist is, as the wording states, you're going to be focusing more on crafting alchemical and herbalistic elements. You get tool proficiency with both those things, alchemist supplies and herbalist kits. Brewing potions, you brew a potion using the crafting rules in the DM's guide, which is the amount of time required to craft is half, though, compared to what it states in there. So you've got a good downtime activity if you're an alchemist, and you get the spells to go with it. Healing Word, Mass Healing Word, Death Ward, Raise Dead, but also some cool ones like Cloud Kill, Gaseous Form, it's fun, Melsaf's Arrow is quite good, Flaming Sphere, Ray of Sickness. I don't know Vitrolic Sphere, actually. It's
pretty cool, Vitrolic Sphere. It's just like a horrible sickly green light, and it just makes people ill.
10d4 acid damage and another 5d4 acid damage at the end of its next turn.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I like it a lot, yeah. Experimental elixir, again, we've looked at this before, and I think we chatted about this, about people rolling on it because it's experimental. Yes. And then obviously the last one of it says that you just determine what it is by choosing one of the one on the table.
We didn't like this. I remember talking about this in UA.
Yeah, I was like, but then also creating additional mixers. So for a magic action, you can expend a spell slot to get another elixir. If you do so, you can choose from the experimental elixir table rather than rolling one. And I'm just there going like, unfortunately, as much as I love rolling and doing stuff randomly, your GM's going to go, just pick. Don't mix and match. I like the idea of being able to have as what you need. And it's not like any of these experimental elixirs are bad. You know what I mean? Like they're all good. They're all helpful. They're all boosts for you. But again, maybe now I'm thinking like, well, wouldn't it be great if you did have like you roll like early on, you're making these for the first time, so you roll like a d6 to be like, oh, it is a swiftness potion, but the floor is, and you roll on a different table, and it's like it tastes of Brussels sprouts. It's that sort of like, again, it's not like a detrimental thing. You get a nice positive thing, but it's like it's goopy, so it takes a moment to drink down, but it's not going to affect. Yeah, I just think I had a little bit extra. Like it's not great, and then as you keep going through, that sort of as you're improving goes well.
That sounds more exciting. Giving it a few more little extra bits. It's like you can choose the effect that it has at the baseline, and then we're going to adapt how that works. Like you've made it really good, so you're going to get double the amount of benefit from the healing, or the swiftness is going to last for longer.
I like that actually, yeah.
Or it's going to be half as powerful, so you're only going to get 1d8 instead of the standard 2d8. Or it's going to be like, things like that. Or it's like it requires a full action to consume it. Or it's you notice that it starts to congeal, and you realize, knowing your skill, you've actually got to drink this. You've only got like 1 day to consume it,
Yes.
or it's gone, or something like
It's
that.
got half the potions. You need to use it before you short rest.
Yeah, exactly.
That's quite cool. I like that it's some of it's either gets better or it's a little bit negative, because that makes it, again, it makes it like, this is why it's experimental rather than just like choose what it is.
Or if you roll it, if it's on a 10, if you roll a 10, it's going to work to the maximum capacity, but it's got a 1 in 6 chance of exploding. Like something like that would be quite fun. I think the rest of the Alchemist is like, I think we could, like, it's not changed drastically. You still got the Lesser Restoration. You've still got the Alchemist supplies, the spellcaster focuses to like add this force. That's the bonus one at alchemical, and then later on you get alchemical eruption at 15, where you can then when you do acid, fire, poison damage, you can add 2d8 force damage.
So good,
which is quite great.
Yeah,
the resistance you get to acid damage and poison damage is great, and immunity to the poison condition is pretty good and makes sense. And Tasha's Bubbling Cauldron you get as a free cast out spell shot, which is you're just going to have a big bubbling cauldron there where you can just say it's a healing potion, it's a haste potion, it's a standard, I think it's uncommon. I could click on the thing and have a look, but I think it's uncommon potion and common or uncommon potion. And if someone gets there as a bonus action, you or an ally can reach cauldron and withdraw 1 potion of that kind, and it disappears when it's consumed. You can have a number up to your spellcasting ability modifier. So you maybe, again, 3, 4, 5, you're talking about level 15, probably 4 or 5 at that stage, that you're going to be like, there's 4 healing potions in this thing.
Pretty
Get
good.
around me. Let's all have a drink.
Before we go into the big fight, hang on. A toast. A toast.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like a warding potion of some description, or like, what's it? The mind, like if you're going to go against mind flayers, like mind
shielding, or like protection from, and then a damage type. It's also good. Yeah, no, that's really cool. I like that a lot. Yeah. Next, we've got the Armorer. Again, all of this is very similar to the UA, so I'll go through it. So there's 3 types, essentially. There's the Dreadnought, there is the Guardian, and then there's the Infiltrator. And each of them, basically, as you go up the list and get features for them, is sort of like, you can change this type. This is the one big thing, and I know I've said it before, is that you can change what kind of armor it is every long rest, which is always good. But yeah, the Dreadnought, this idea is that you're a towering juggernaut in battle, so you're going to be at the front smashing things. The Guardian, you're meant to be the first line of defense, essentially. And then the Infiltrator is like subtle undertakings. So again, those sort of like Tony Stark-esque, like you're zipping around, like flying about, being just getting intelligence, essentially.
It's basically Hulk, Thor, and then Spider-Man.
Oh, Spider-Man,
because it's like the web launcher, because you got the lightning launcher.
All under the guise of Iron Man. Yes, absolutely.
Exactly. Iron Man's variation on those themes. You're definitely more like a melee thing. It's extra attacks. You've kind of like got a lot of fighter stuff in there.
Yes.
You get improved armor. You get some cool arsenal, like +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls when you get special. You'll get your guns, that you have the special weapons they have, and then it just kind of gets better, doesn't it? Really, as you go up. The Artillerist stays again pretty similar, where it's about like you're going to have some cool shooty style spells like Wall of Force, Wall of Fire, which are kind of like great things that are good. They're more like really good protections, but like Cone of Cold, Ice Storm, Scorching Ray, those Fireball, classic. Everyone needs one. And you get your Eldritch Cannon, which is awesome. You just get this huge, cool gun to walk around with. Has its own. It's a bit more like, I always see it's a bit like, did you ever play Team Fortress?
Oh, vaguely, yes. Yeah.
And they just have the little guy who'd make the little sentry guns, which reminds me of those.
Yeah, no, that's what I envisioned it to be. Yeah.
And you have your arcane firearm, which is the actual gun as well, isn't it? Which is like which is where you shoot your spells from.
Yes. Arcane firearm. You use the woodcarver's tools to carve special sigils into a martial range weapon or other things it describes as. You use that as a spellcasting focus for your spells. When you cast a Artificer spell through the firearm, roll a d8, and you gain a bonus to one of the spell's damage rolls equal to the number of rolls. So that's pretty sick.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
The other thing to say is that again, this has not changed too much, but Eldritch Cannon also has like 3 types as well.
Yes.
We have Flamethrower, we have Force Ballista, and Protector as well. Protector is an interesting one. I always think it's because it has this burst of positive energy that grants itself and the creature around it with some temporary hit points, which is always good. And again, this can change on a long rest.
Yeah.
Level 9 is Explosive Cannon. So when
Yes.
your cannon takes damage, you can take the reaction to command the cannon to detonate if you're within 60 feet of it. Doing so destroys it and forces each creature within 20 feet to make a dexterity saving throw, taking 3d10 force damage on a failed save. Oh, that's great. I just feel like,
It's so cool.
again, it's sort of a Hail Mary. You're
It is,
running
yeah.
away, and you can, and maybe you have a way to like, there's an illusion or a double of you at the cannon, and someone's attacking it, and you I don't know, you move the cannon in the way, and then you go right detonate, and it's like, it's sad, but like you're like, I will remake this. I will remake Gunny Part 2 or Mark 2
Yeah, exactly.
from there. Yeah.
And the fortified position just gives you double that, and
Yes.
you get your
2
like
guns.
half cover. Yeah, you get additional cover, which is quite cool when you're within 10 feet of Eldritch Cannon. So you can sort of create these good little like battle lines if you want to do that. Battlesmith, as we said, is the one where you get your companion. So you start off with like arcane empowerment and weapon knowledgeable, so you gain more proficiency. So you're actually kind of like not, and you get when you attack with a magic weapon, you use your intelligence modifier instead of your strength or dexterity modifier for the attack, which is kind of cool. So you're kind of like, it's trying to kind of put you in this mindset of being more of like a strategist as well as like a martial adept. And then with that, as part of this strategy thing, you get the steel defender, which has always been the classic part of it. And it's more like, it's like you're the arcane sort of, or the sort of like artificer is this, electronic version of a druid, I guess, basically. That's what you are.
Yeah, you've got your animal companion, and it's always seen like in my head, the steel defender's always been seen as a dog or dog coded, but like I've definitely seen other art in the Eberron book of it being like an owl or a cat or a fox or something like that. So you're not limited to that. I think like again throughout this book, it's the same sort of set pieces you see of who the battlesmith is with the dog-like creature. So that's the only thing I'd say. I wish there was a little bit more art showing the different kinds of steel defenders you could describe it as, and like obviously. We know that Terry in Critical Role was just a big robot kind of guy, like a big construct, essentially. That was the steel defender that they used for that. So anything is possible, essentially.
And then you get, whenever you, Arcane Jolt, which is whenever you hit a target in that attack roll using a magic weapon or your steel defender, you can channel magic energy to add force damage of 2d6 or restorative energy, healing an object you see within 30 feet and doing 2d6 hit points restoring, which is quite good. And then you get improved versions of that as you get to level 15. But the real new one is the Cartographer, really.
Yeah.
And you sort of mentioned already.
Yeah, no, again, it's just the idea of mapping is quite interesting. We also have like ingenious movement. So again, that sort of idea of like if someone has failed a saving throw that you see or an ability check, you give them your plus on that, but also they can then teleport themselves. What was I say? You or a willing creature of your choice that you see within 30 feet can teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space that you can see as part of the same reaction. So that's really cool as well. So like even if you don't succeed the ability check or saving throw, you are then moved again, like you said, that sort of strategist, that sort of element of like being put somewhere else, maybe out of danger's way, which I always just think is really useful. And again, I just think that's a nice build on the the flash of genius on that front.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of it. Like again, it feels like if you had, and we'll possibly go on to this idea of like, all artificers, each one of these would be a really cool. You know what it makes me think of actually when I'm looking at it now? Makes me think of Borderlands a little bit. Like it's that sort of makeup of like you've got the attacky stuff, you've got like a little bit more social perhaps, but you've got the person that's got the dog or the animal companion that you can stick on people. You've got a cartographer that looks a little bit like a Siren S type person as well. So I just think, actually there's a lot you could do with this and really fit in. And so again, we've said this before, like you can always play Oops All Rogues or Oops All Druids. It's fine, but here I can absolutely see the different flavors of Artificer. And so I don't think you're going to be like, oh, we're all playing the same guys. So you got flashes of genius. You got the baseline, I think it's fine, but all these subclasses have enough to twist and change
your
it.
Alchemist can be your healer, your armorer is your front line, your artillerist is your backstop, and your battlesmith is sort of just like druiding it up a little bit, sending the dog in, and then you've got a cartographer which is sort of moving people around and sort of like keeping an eye on everyone and being more like the captain of the party in the sense of like
I literally thought I was going to say the face is what I was thinking.
They're the face as well, like probably like they know where everyone is, they're keeping control of everything, they're the ones making the notes. Do you know what I mean? Like
again, I could just see the heist movie of like the map comes out, goes, all right team, this is what we got, and then like Dutch angle, Dutch angle, you know, that's
Dutch angle works.
right, well, let's move on to the next bit, which is character options. So, as we sort of said, this is offering new backgrounds, one new species, and a couple of extra feats have been sort of updated while still keeping those core four Eberron folk lineages of the Changeling, the Kalashtar, the Shifter, and the Wargeforge.
Yes.
What I found interesting was that, because I didn't realise, because I was like, this Corvara species, I was like, what's that? And I didn't realise that in the original book it talks about, like, you know, elves and dwarves and stuff like that, how they are represented in this in this setting. I was just like, oh, that's really cool. And then the Corvar are half elves, but they don't like being called half elves. They want to be called children of Corvair. That's sort of a descending from that point. I thought that actually is really nice. I kind of like that as a way to be like, you know, like let's not have this sort of the horrible sort of naming convention around half this, because obviously we don't want people being lesser than and all that sort of thing. But I just, for me, on this point of view, it's just like, again, I like these options. Obviously, they've updated the character options. Again, I just wish they had it with the other stuff, because interestingly, the other things about, like, the elves and dwarves, it also relates to different continents in Corvair.
100%.
So it's like, okay, that's where the Drow are, and they're slightly different, and that's really interesting. So that's what I just think marrying these two options, these two chapters together is, I think, fundamental reading. You know what I mean?
It is, yeah, I think so. I think the way they could have, like, I don't know, my thinking was, it like, I don't think they needed to say it was sometimes called half elves, because I feel like they could have, my only thinking on how that it could have been rephrased personally, and I'm not giving them a hard time or anything at all. I just want to say that I think there was a way that they could have just done it more magically, which is just like the Corvar are a species of people that are descendants of both elven and human lineage, and I think that would have been it. And it's just and through the sort of magical like marriage of these two species within this area has created their own culture and peoples around it. It's just the way it kind of would have been the way that, because I think there's a whole magical element to it, and I think what they're trying, because the way that when you get to them, it's more like these peoples are their own peoples, and they've got this essence that is both elven and human in the sort of way that they have, like, this magical adeptness, have that sort of fey ability, like looks as well, they sort of mention as well, like this idea of sort of elven grace, I think is a word they use, but then also this sort of ingenuity and the sort of like haste that, you know, humans have, you know, in the sort of, in that sort of magical way of that sort of idea that, like, elves live for hundreds of years and humans are always rushing about in the classic Tolkien way that they always say, isn't it? Like, you're always moving so fast.
It makes me think of a little bit like Spock from Star Trek, you know, the sort of human mother and the Vulcan father. They always refer to people, oh, well, they're, like, certainly then it's like, oh, yes, he is half Vulcan or half human. And it's like, it's seen as a negative thing. And, like, here, like, I think, I agree. I think actually the little blurb paragraph is really good. And I think it's just trying to be like, yes, we want to acknowledge that maybe in a different book they would be called half elves, but not here. And I'm like, totally cool by that. I will say the artwork, again, always got to say it, the artwork for the backgrounds and the artwork for the different lineages is really cool. Like, I really like the Changeling one. Have you seen that? Where it's like an individual looking into like a 3-bit mirror, and they're looking straight on, and it's them in glasses, and then on all the other little mirrors are like almost different degrees of them, of how they look maybe as a younger individual or older person.
Yes, it's so
really
good.
Cool.
No, that is a great piece.
And then the Kalashtar one, this idea of a individual that has a connection to this sort of spirit, the quarry, I want to say, and how, like, when they get excited, their eyes will flash these incredible colors. And again, that image looks incredible.
Like, it's a cool image.
So the artwork, and it's all very interesting, because there's a mixture of this sort of like the pulp fiction aspect of it, but also like the beautiful sort of like fantasy element of it as well with the Corvair. But I will say my favorite, just because it is so, to me, it's very outlandish, is the Shifter. This sort of like, I want to say like a tiger type person with long plaits. It's just like doing a treasure planet, like off the side, looking great.
That's what there totally was, because the treasure planet is a cat-like creature.
Yes, the first officer, right? Oh, the captain.
Which is Emma Thompson's, Emma Thompson's character.
Absolutely.
And I watched that movie again recently. I love that.
It's a great movie, and even the Warforged there. That again, this idea of like robots, but also organic matter, this sort of wood working together. The image here of them sort of, I want to say, in a cavern somewhere, like an underground temple, and then just taking in that That's again, it looks like a picture from a movie. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I've seen that somewhere before.
So I mean, we've talked about dragon marks, and you could see more about those in our. They haven't changed in terms of apart from what we've already mentioned about this sort of greater dragon marks and the severest dragon marks, which are really cool, which we've already kind of touched on earlier, and the fact that they've adjusted the sort of like access to them. Is there anything about them, like any of the ones that you've? Because again, they haven't necessarily changed their attitude, as in like ideas behind each of them compared to the previous. So is there anything about them that you're like, oh, I like this one a lot, or is there any of them that you'd like to pick out?
A great question. What I do like, again, and just to really emphasize this, is that rather than being the benefits of each dragon now they come from being taken as a feat rather than from a species option, because that's what it was in the original thing. So certain dragon mark houses were usually like, this like I think the one they always use the example of is Jorasa. Is it Joraso? This is like a halfling, the halfling house. A majority of the people who are part of it are halflings, and it's like, well, we don't, you don't want to tie things to species here, so that's great. So I really like that. I really like actually how you get dragon marks. It talks about like where do you like if you like, I don't want to be part of a dragon mark house right at the beginning, or where can this be? And it gives like sort of 4 options of being like, you could be literally an heir, you could be like an offshoot from a family that's like maybe you've got distant cousins or something like that. Maybe you bear a mark that's completely unrelated to anything that you've ever seen before, and so you all just sort of found it just so it has manifest it, which again is part of the canon. Or you have the aberrant mark, which is in my head the custom dragon mark, it's that something. But obviously the aberrant marks usually indicate villainous ones, because that's the one dragon mark that the other houses really fear, because it's so unknown and it's so rare and there's no real rhyme or reason for it, and often it is related to, and this is where I'm going to get the name of the house from, but I believe it's House Tarkan, I think, Tarkanan, and that has been previously associated with criminal purposes and like evil agendas. Again, your mileage may vary, so you might want to change that. The one thing I do want to say, and I'd be interested to know your thoughts on this, because obviously I know you've got the D&D Beyond version open. I do find there's like an image on one of the pages where it sort of goes, here's what the dragon marks do look like, and then here's greater dragon marks examples of those same ones, and then finally the ultimate level, the severest dragon marks. I really don't like them. They're like really like, in my head it reminds me of that, and I swear I can't remember the name of the brand, but do you remember when you were growing up, there's always that brand of like, you get those sort of almost like tribal tattoos, and then it feels like they've just gone more and more into it, and it doesn't feel like it's, to me, it kind of means anything. And I do wonder,
it's very 2000s,
very 2000s. I wonder again, maybe there's cultural appropriation possibly inspired that. I don't know, is the thing. So it's just in my head, I'm like, I don't know if I like that. But then again, I don't know what else I'd change it to.
I think they remind me of what they were originally at the time, but
especially because it gets to a point. So the first couple of ones are like, they look very simple, almost like maybe Chinese simplified lettering, and then it goes like, this is obviously the greater ones get like, there's a few more bits and pieces, but it looks messy, and then the final ones are like very like, they're just, I think the idea is that they get bigger and bigger and bigger, these forms, and they're taking over more of your body, so it's harder to hide them.
I think it would be cool if it was like I think it's an example, but I think like what you would take is your own interpretation of how that might represent itself. I think like it could be patterns, or it could be something else that I think you should take those things on. I'd encourage my players to be like, what is, how is that manifesting, and like, what do you see it looking like? Like, is it?
Yeah, I think it's hard, because obviously if they weren't here, I'd be like, I want an example. So I can easily see myself saying the other way of doing it. But just looking at these, I'm just there going like, I don't like them.
For example, I can think of in Naruto when they get the Amaterasu black flame going over the face when they do that sort of spell, and you're like, that's a dragon mark. Or like the eye, the red eye with the like, I forget what it's called in Naruto, but those are the 2 Naruto examples. But like something of that nature, or it's just like, I could imagine like, think of the what sort of dragon mark you're taking. So let's take Shadow, for example, that maybe you have like this patternation of like, that like moves around your face. that's all these
That's
little
really
like
cool.
traveling bits of just like
Yeah.
discoloration or something, like, you know, as in like it just goes like shadow colored, or like
Yeah.
your skin goes like translucent at these points or something like that. That could be a thing, or it just is on your arm or something like that, but then it becomes your whole body when you're sort of like greater, you know, or you
Yeah.
know, they could be really cool. You could make them very Fiona. It's like you get a big scab and then it becomes big and scabby everywhere.
Delicious.
Exactly.
But like I'm looking at the houses just now, and each of the houses have some really cool like coat of arms type thing. Like House Lyranda has like almost like a sigil, like sort of like flames. Maybe I did even just do that. So it is actually like a manifestation of the house.
Maybe,
you know, I just because I guess the whole point of the Dragmar is like it's untapped potential of magic. That's what it's trying to indicate, and we don't know. There is no uniform way of doing it. But I'm just there going like, I don't know. I just feel it's a little, because I can imagine it's like, oh, what's that Dragmar symbol? And I just squiggle and I show it and they go, I don't recognize it. Me neither.
No, exactly. Well, maybe like for the Lyranda's a good one because they're the storm, right? Mark of the storm. So maybe what you have is like a little crystalline like pattern here.
Oh yeah.
And it kind of is cold, and it's quite cold to the touch. Whenever you like shake their hand, you're like, it's a really cold.
You know what? I like that better. Like it is, however it manifests it, it has like an aesthetic. Like you said, it's either like it's bright blue, like lightning coming up your arm, and it's cold, or it feels like a crystal,
or you get a little shock. You could like,
it's sort of it tingles to the touch. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if you put your hand near it, you get your hairs will stand up like they're static.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly. And like you said, I like the shadows. In my head, you're almost like a lava lamp. The shadows moving around.
Actually, I'm now thinking of Rorschach from what's his name?
Yeah. The tests and stuff.
Watchmen.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but Watchmen.
Oh yeah,
as well.
and Watchmen as well. Yeah.
You've got that, that all over your whole body, sort of thing.
Yeah, I actually prefer that idea of like just literally having a table of like 20 random things that you could use as prompts, and or manifesting it however you want as well.
What I've now got is mark of detection. You just have always got a monocle. It's like a monocle.
Like
because you're just a spy. You're just like looking for everyone. What's going on?
Like, so quite a lot of these houses have like they are like fantasy animals of some sort.
Yeah.
You know, so like there's like the House of Oren, which that's the lightning ray one that looks like a unicorn sort of thing. So I don't know. I like the idea of an animated birthmark, as you were talking about, and it's like that looks like a horse that's like traveling at speed, you know, down your arm or something. Because I think I just worry a little bit because I'm just saying I don't want people to be like, oh, that's sick, I want that tattoo, but it's inappropriate for you to take it. You know, I think got to treat these things a little bit. That's all.
No, I agree with you on that. But I think that's something that you can leave to your players. I think imagination. I think, which is the fun thing.
for sure.
I just wanted to say about the feats, which is the same as what we had in the previous in the original, was the idea that, and it was a bit like what I liked about this was that you all get like kind of spells that go particularly with these marks that you get, and what I like about this is it's really like it's a real feat that's thematic to the setting. And I remember saying it the same at the time, that it's like, this is clearly a world that is arcane fueled, you know, no matter where you are, it's brimming with energy and magic, right? And it's being
no
being
one's left behind, and that sort of everyone's got a little bit of magic to them.
So everyone's got a bit of it, and I kind of like that you get this as part of it. And you know, looking at Mark of Passage, for example, you get Teleportation Circle as one of your things, Blink, Phantom Steed, Dimension Door, Freedom of Movement. These are all quite amazing things as like spells that you can have. I mean, obviously you have to have some form of spell casting, but it's like, I like how it's like you're getting more spellcasting because this is the world we live in, sort of thing, and it's going to be greater. So even if you've got a little bit of magic, you're going to get a little bit of magic. If you've got a lot of magic, you've got even more magic than you had. And I think that's kind of really cool. And like, for example, Mark of Passage, you get Misty Step once without a spell slot, and you always have it as prepared. And I think those kind of little things are quite fun. And it was very much like what you got in the other setting, Ravnica, where it was like those feats were so specific to adding into the setting of Ravnica, which is like, these are really extra benefits you're going to get because you are a house, not a guild agent or something like that, or whatever you're particular to your guild, that's going to be really about that. And I really like that as a thing.
Yeah, and building on that, actually, again, we won't talk about it too much. We might talk about it next time. Is that here, like again, it goes into details about the house, but there's a renown system as well
Yes.
in a setting, which comes
Yes.
again similar to the Ravnica and Theros, and it's like I'm like,
Mm.
I like that. I'm a big fan of like, hey, you've done really well with this faction. Well, guess what? You're going to get an extra boost when you ask them for something, or you've not done so well. You turns out you had an aberrant Dragonmark. Ooh, okay, so I'm a big fan of that for the GM because it's like I'm giving you a special bonus because you are deliberately engaging with these factions, or you're not ignoring them, or you're doing certain things that you're going to have an impact around it, which I just really like.
I like the advancement thing. Really comes as it's really good. It's nice to just feel like you're gaining things within the same setting instead of it just being like, all right, here's a dump of really cool stuff that's thematic at the beginning, and then you're just going to live in the world, right? And then now it's like, no, you've got this sort of like something I can strive for. Like I talked about in Dragon Heist as well, with the factions, you can gain benefits in the factions.
Yes.
You get different benefits through the faction as you grow through it. And even in these marks, like Great Mark for Healing, for example, you get improved healing, which is like when you cast Cure Wounds, you roll dice to determine the number of hit points. You can treat any 1 or 2 as a 3. For example, so like a nice little thing, or you get Cure Wounds without a spell slot up to your proficiency bonus. So it's like, now I'm getting even more little cool things, and it gets better and better. And I think it's nice to feel like you're achieving something outside and also something within the game system, let alone like not just my character, but something that's related to the world around me.
That's exactly it. I've been doing this blog about character creation, and I'm trying to look at character creations. Like, it's a mixture of, obviously, a lot of games when I'm creating characters, like, I already know about, so I've already read it. But I recently did a character for Hollows, which is the new Rowan Reckon Descartes one. And I've not looked at the setting at all. But looking through the character creation, I was like, if I'd come to this game and didn't know anything about it, for me as a player, I want to make sure that I engage with stuff. So I made sure when I was making choices, I was like, okay, I have to engage with these things which happen to be in the world. And obviously I had a quick look up. I'm not completely silly on that, but I was like, now I've made a character that will engage with these things. And similar here, if I'm like, I want to engage with this world, I should take these things, or be suggested about these, take these marks if that's something that interests me, and then, like you said, engage with the world, find out more about it, because then it's just a feedback loop of like you enjoying the setting, you enjoying the immersion, but also you're gaining something out of it, you're being rewarded for it, rather than just like, I'm just going to go off and fight in Siri, The one I do want to mention, of course, is the epic boon feat, which is the boon of Sibirus, which is obviously you need. I like how prerequisite it says level 19, and then the other requisite for all these Dragonmarks, for this Dragonmark at least, is an Eberron setting, which made me laugh. As always, you get an ability scoring increase to up to a maximum of 30, and then you get Aberrant Magic. Choose a level 8 or lower spell from the Sorcerer's list, or a spell from the Sibirus Dragonmark list table below. You always have that spell prepared. You cast it once without spell slot and spell components, and you regain that ability whenever you finish a short or long rest. And you can cast it with any spell slots over the appropriate level as well. And then Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma things. How cool is that? You basically do like a Scarlet Witch, or what's she called? Phoenix. That's her name, isn't it? Jean Grey Phoenix. Yeah. I just like. And here again, it's got a little
Dark Phoenix.
Dark Phoenix. Yes, that was it. Dark Phoenix. All I can see is Sophie Turner in my head. I'm like, that's not the character's name. That's the actress's name. Yeah. And then at the bottom it says, here's the suggested Dragonmark, and here's the spell that goes with it. I'm like, perfect, great. Yeah, and that's what I'm like. That's really helpful. Or I could just pick a level 8 spell, especially if you're an Artificer as well. You can only get up to level 5.
Very cool. Demi-plane.
I know. I saw Demi-plane. I was like, damn, that's pretty good. Hero's Feast. Maze for warding as well.
Love
Plane
it.
shift.
Teleport.
So I just like the idea that you start this battle and you just go whoom, and you go, all right, guys, I'm out.
Maze.
Maze.
Mazed them. I've mazed them. Vecna, mazed.
Yeah. Teleport. Yeah. So I was like, I really like that. I think that's just, again, I can instantly see like a really cool, you've got your Dragonmark, you've got this, and then you finally get to the end of your arc and you're like, and now.
Wish is level 9, isn't it? Wish is level 9.
Yes, that's why. I assume that's why it's not on this list.
Just below level 9, which is fair. That's fair.
Is there anything that you have on this at all? Like, again, like we've not looked at them in any great detail, but I think a markedly big improvement. Like, I quite like the Dragonmarks from before, but I'm like, instantly, I'm like, this is really cool that I instantly can see a character developing, and like I can see myself engaging in that campaign, as we just said.
I don't think my thoughts towards it generally have changed since the last time we looked at it, because I think overall I really find the Eberron setting really exciting.
Yeah, I
think,
know.
yeah,
we're already converted, so we're like, yeah, this is
exactly.
great.
That's the thing. So I'm like, it's really good. I think it's everything. I've not looked at anything and gone, oh, they've made it worse, or
That's true.
it's changed it in. I think if anything, they've made everything better, more access to things. I think there's always a little bit of the meanness of Wizards with their like balancing things. I think is always on the meaner side of
Yeah.
things. When I feel like sometimes you're just like, come on, guys,
Just let us be cool pulp
Just be
action
cooler.
heroes. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I get it, and I guess that's the thing that's balancing itself with itself. But also, I'm just a little bit like sometimes you're a little bit like I'm level 11 and I can only use this once. Are you sure that's kind of cool? Because all the other stuff I'm going to be doing is amazing. So why is this not as amazing?
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think like I like the changes to the dragon marks. I think the greater and the Cypress ones are really cool. I don't think the species have really changed that much in terms of what they are. They've always been really good ones. That's a Blade Shifter, and I think that's a cool. I think it's a cool species to play. I think all of them are really interesting. Got a lot of like. I think there's a lot more. Like I having not played them as part as Eberron. I think there's more to be gained if I actually got to play that in the setting. So generally, my overall thoughts are that. I don't know if you have anything else to add.
No, the thing I was going to say, I think this is just something that's happened to me over the last year or so, is that before I used to be like, this is really cool as a mechanic, and I'm always a big fan of mechanics, as you know, but if a setting really grips me, I'm like, oh, that is a really good setting. I'm more likely to forgive if it's not, it's D&D, right? And obviously we could do Eberron. Instantly I can see Eberron being played as a Blaze in the Dark game, right?
Yeah.
It's instantly the setting is easily transferable. I can see that.
Yeah.
But like, I'm just looking at these things, and like you said, looking at, again, great artwork, and looking at all these things going like, this is really interesting. Like I can see the potential for really cool character stories, and I'm a big fan of political intrigue and all that sort of thing anyway. So I already, going into this, obviously I was like, as you said, we've converted anyway, but looking at this I was like, oh, actually I am excited again to do, like you said, there's nothing I've gone like, well, that's terrible, or like that's a bit odd, but I'm like, oh yeah, so yeah, no, I am. It's interesting because, again, little fanfare about this book coming out and the delays and stuff, but it's really good. Like, so far, so good. There's these 2 chapters which are clearly aimed at the player. I've gone, I like this as a player. And obviously the later chapters, which we'll come to next time, they're more GMs to expand the world, and I like those too. I'm instantly going like I said, my big takeaway is that I wouldn't get this without the Rising from the First War, or even maybe some of the other earlier Eberron stuff as well, because context is key. But it's such a good addition. Like, I'm not going like, it's not a waste of paper. So 100%.
No, I think you're right. I think that is the right way to put it. I think it's like, it's definitely an addition, but it's still an addition. Yeah, I think is the thing,
Absolutely.
And so, you can't really fault it for that, apart from the want for it to be like.
I agreed of like, well, we want it to be like this, and it's like, but like you and I both have that. We've got it elsewhere, to be fair,
and you don't need it, and that's the thing. So it'd be nice if they'd like put the other Eberron on sale, maybe at the same time would be good. I mean, they did, and I missed it, but
maybe
you probably can find it very reasonably online. Yeah,
you can definitely get it. I think the thing is, because obviously if you go on a D&D website, I'm sure it's there somewhere. The sort of Rise of Eberron makes sense to have it there, but like older books. I say older, like in the last 10 years, have gone quietly, but made legacy and then taken off, like Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes and all that sort of thing, because obviously it's not, they're trying to update to the 2024. But I'm just there going like, you just got to label it right. That's the thing. I feel like maybe that's a worry that they don't want to sell or promote a book that doesn't have the 2024 rules in it. I
get that.
Which I get.
I think
it's fair.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I'll tell you now, Fiona, getting those alternate covers. Oh my gosh, trying to get a new one of that, getting one of those second hands.
For the Eberron, I was on this was a couple of years ago now, but when I was like, you know what, I'd like to start a new collection, and that is alt covers. The Eberron one was the most difficult one to find, and so I was
£75 on eBay.
I was very lucky on an eBay bid on that one. So but I mean the artwork is pretty good.
It's pretty. I'd have that as a poster.
That's the thing. I'd have that as a poster compared to the alt cover for the Forge of the Artificer, which I'm like, that's okay, I guess. Yep. But even then, what I do find interesting, and maybe this has always been the case, so the normal cover for the Eberron Forge of the Artificer is of the same characters. Just one is like building and then the final one is like bringing it to life through almost like a Frankenstein thing. I did not really clock that until, I mean, side story of like the Ghost of Saltmarsh. So you know the one where they're in the boat and there's a lady shooting something coming out the water. The alt cover for that is her perspective of the creature coming out of the water. So it's that horrible monster like it's really like
I'm looking at it now.
Yeah. So you can see like the normal cover she's shooting, and then the alt cover is the Sahagin, I think it is, that's coming out of the water. Yeah, I know.
I didn't realize. I actually quite like that cover as well. It's pretty.
It's
cool.
a really good cover. But again, I don't think they do that many connections.
Oh, that's so cool. I didn't realize that. Oh, that's a nice little.
It's a little detail, a little Easter egg.
Yeah, 100%.
Anyway, Hamilton, we have definitely run out of time, and I thought this was going to be a quick one and done. And actually, obviously, we like Eberron, so we can talk about it. So we'll definitely come back next time to talk a bit more about maybe the Bastion stuff, because I know we really enjoyed looking at that, and the 3 different kinds of adventures you can have. Again, I think it'd be quite cool. And finally, the elemental airships, which I'm like, heck yeah. I want to. Instantly, I'm like, that's happening. So we'll definitely come back for that, I think.
No, I totally agree. And you get a little bit more of the newspapers, because the newspapers were really big, remember? Do you remember there was a whole thing about being wasn't there a whole thing about being one of the newspaper people, wasn't it?
Yes, you could
be an investigative journalist.
You could be, and they gave you examples of the different kinds of journalism. So there could be like a roving reporter for like the Daily Mail, of the equivalent in Eberron, or the more broadsheet Guardian. And I'm like, that's really fun.
You could be like a sensationalist, couldn't you, as well? Like, that was it.
Yeah. Anyway, Hamilton, let's sign off by saying, what are we up to? So where can we find your work? What's going on with you? Where are you on the internet?
Well, we did a lot of it at the beginning, so we said that like Rateable is coming. I don't know when this is going to be live, but February 1st, pre-order store will be open. So if you want to, there'll be links in the show notes below this. If you go to the website, Theatre Macabre, all one word, .co.uk. You can go there and there's a sign up sheet if it's before February when this comes out. But if it's after February, there will be a link in the show notes where you can just go there and you can pledge. You can lay on the pledge box and you can pre-order pretty much everything that's available. Anything that isn't available is a dice, because they've already been ordered and arrived, and like I can't reorder anymore unless I got like at least 100. So I don't think I could do that again.
Sad.
So but everything else is there. So if you want to catch that, you can do that there. Other than that, there's a Warhammer thing I'm doing with a couple of some people from like we've done before. So that we will, Chloe, myself, and Chris GMing us, sorry, for Imperium Maledictum. So we're gonna do a character creation, which is on February the 3rd. So that might have been out by now. I don't know when this is going to go live. I don't know when these are going out. It's always that thing. But
soon is all. I don't know either. Yes.
Soon. But so you can find that on my YouTube channel, which is Theatre Macabre, and we're gonna. I think I'm is if we just do that live, the character creation, or if we do pre-record it. But I think it might be kind of fun if we actually just like literally just go for it live to see what happens.
Well, worst case scenario, it's 3 hours of you flipping through a book, going like, so where's this? I can't find it.
So what we've already done is like a pre-session 0.
There you go. Look at that content on. Well done.
Yeah, exactly. Where we've already like gone through what we need to know for it, and then we're going to do it, but we haven't like decided exactly what parts we're playing. We're just going to go and do some of the random rolling and choose it all whilst we're there.
Nice.
I think it should be quite fun. Yeah.
Heck yeah. Oh, that sounds very exciting.
We have been traveling. Again.
Yes.
And we keep doing this, Fiona.
Yes,
we keep doing this, which means that the most common thing, I'm making this short one today, the most common thing that I say when we're doing this is, Fiona, where are we? Where?
I'm so glad you asked. Let's get on the elemental airship with me, Hamilton, and let's go see Corvair. Whoa. Quick, let's chase that lightning rail. Okay, where? I'm so glad you asked. Has nothing to do with Eberron, which is such a shame. But what am I rolling? It's a twice monthly tabletop RPG one-shot podcast. We do lots of different RPG systems, and sometimes we do interviews with game designers. I finally released the first part of The Zone as a recording, which is good. I did slightly miss the date at the beginning of the year, because turns out when you travel over Christmas and you focus on family stuff, you just lose any ability to do anything if you don't have time for it. Turns out I was like, where's all my time gone? I haven't done anything other than had a good rest. So now that is officially out, and the part 2 will follow up. And then, of course, we will do Kuriko, again, giving myself accountability to finish it. So yes, and then I'm sure we've got some other bits and pieces coming on in the pipeline at some point. But yeah, all the stuff, go check it out over the internet and stuff. And yeah, and we're just going to be in the Discord as always. So there'll be a link to the show notes if you want to come join us, chatting about various RPGs. RP Geeks as well. That's starting back up soon. Yeah. Which will be good. We're doing a 2-shot of Teeth, which is a Blades in the Dark sort of hack, which will be fun. And then we're going to be doing Blade Runner, which I need to reread again, but I'm looking forward to it.
That's really exciting.
I'm very excited.
After, you've been hyped since we read it, so I'm quite excited to see how it turns out.
Yeah, I hope it's going to be the same thing of when I read Blades in the Dark, I was like, I'm really hyped for it. And then there was about 2 months period when we were obviously waiting for it to come around. I was like, oh no, I was ready 2 months ago. I'm ready.
Hyped then.
I'm hyped then. I'm still hyped, but I'm just going
watch the movie or something.
Well, that's what I've said. I've got them on my. I've told everyone, because not everyone's seen Blade Runner, which is fine, obviously. I'm like, go watch the original, and you get the vibes. And then I'm like, and I shall also watch it too. So yes, I'm very excited to treat yourself with a Blade Runner director's cut. I think that's the one, right? That's the best one, right? Or is that
the director's cut? The one without the monologue. If he starts monologuing,
turn it off.
Flip it over. Flip
it over like the physical DVD.
Sorry, it's just old school times.
Old school. I like the idea that the Blade Runner, they had all the different versions of it on different, and you have to keep flipping the DVD till you find the right one.
I had an edition of Goodfellas where halfway through the movie I had to flip the DVD over. Because it was literally, you've got an interval. I'm like, what? It's a DVD. They should have it all on. Nope, you got to flip.
The only DVD I knew did that was Amadeus. I don't know if you ever watched that. And because it's obviously a very long one, and it's like, you got to flip it over. I was like, what are you talking about?
This isn't Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, there's
you have to change discs halfway through.
There's that one and the original It. You have to flip halfway through as well.
Really?
Yeah. So of course it's you're already scared, and then it goes turn over, and you're like, ooh.
That's quite freaky. Goodfellas was the only one that had that, because that's a long movie. It's 3. I think it was an extended cut version as well. It was probably on the DVD as well.
In the days before discs could hold so much, and now we just have streaming services that do it all for us. We don't have to.
Yeah. But the streaming services generally have Blade Runner the wrong version.
They do, generally. Don't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't. They don't get it. They don't get.
They just get the theatrical cut. That's the problem.
Director's cut. All right. Well, we should look at that. Anyway, enough of us chatting about DVDs. We will leave the studio, I promise. But thank you, folks, so much for listening. We'll be back next time with part 2 of Eberron, hopefully. Until then, we will
see you on the flip side of the DVD.
Of the DVD. Oh, look, he was so good. I completely missed that. Yes. See you on the flip side of the DVD. Bye.